Hi Scorpio, welcome to your mid-June check-in for astrology and tarot. I did not have a June video up for you Scorpio on your own. I did have an all signs video up for the astrology of June, and it includes your signs, so if you want to have a look at that, it'll be linked below. But this is a more in-depth look at the middle of June onwards, because we are finishing up eclipse season. And it's quite important, I have to say. We do have a new moon annular solar eclipse in Gemini as I film this. And for you, it's happening in the side of the sky that's very linked to your true nature. This is something that's going on in the background, Scorpio. This need for you to connect, this need for you to merge, this need for you to rid yourself of anything in your life that's toxic, that is dragging you down and stopping you from connecting to another. Your fears can really come to the surface with any kind of eclipse going on in your 8th house, 2nd house axis, because that rules value. And what do you value as a water sign? You value connection. You value money too. I'm not getting away from that necessarily. You value the material, but you value connection as well. And this is something that's really coming up around this time because of the loose square to Neptune in your 5th house of love and romance and this type of thing. And really what's coming up with this eclipse as well is that it's drawing into you this new energy of how you connect to somebody in terms of how you connect to your past. Do you merge the two? Do you merge your relationship and your family? Do you want to merge your relationship and your family? Do you want to be part of somebody else's family? How do you work with your in-laws? This type of thing. Mars is entering Leo on the 11th as well, giving you this drive, this ambition to go for gold in your career. You're going to put a lot of energy into it regardless of what results are coming back. After June 27th, Scorpio, you'll notice a lot more results, I have to say, because Venus going into Leo gives you this charm, this charisma, this grace, and this attractiveness to employers, as a boss, to authority. Whereas Mars going through there can make you seem a bit aggressive. Heaven forbid. Can make you seem a bit aggressive, a bit too ambitious, as if that's a thing. You know what I mean? But Mars there can be very intense in a career zone. It can sometimes be where you butt heads with authority, but that is, up to your individual situation. We do have Jupiter going retrograde in your 5th house and Neptune going retrograde in your 5th house. Watch out for the alcohol. Some of you could get some serious hangovers if you're not a bit more temperate in how you're drinking at this time. I would say that to all the signs, but to you in particular, as a water sign, just be mindful of that. But it's a beautiful time to pick up a creative project that you have been working on before and that you got sidetracked from. Pick up a hobby, pick up something you used to do. Reconnect with your children, maybe have an artistic hobby with your kids if you're feeling like there's a disconnect or something like this. We do have the sun going into Cancer on the 20th. And this for you is all about adventure, Scorpio. And you'll feel a real energy shift around this time, I have to say. Especially after the 22nd when Mercury goes direct in your 8th house. Because when the sun moves from your 8th house, where it is shining a light on your psychological patterns that can maybe feel a little bit frightening or unnerving. It's shining a light on your intimate relationships to the point you can sometimes be a little bit hypersensitive to things, or it can be that you're looking for problems. Or it can just, it can shine a light on your intimate life, and sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not. But whenever the sun moves into the 9th house for you, you feel more optimistic, you feel more I think the term is laissez-faire. Everything happens for a reason. Everything is an adventure. Everything is connected. Let's talk about philosophy. Let's talk about the meaning of life. Let's have a beer under the stars and talk about the great philosophers, or how we all have an inner philosopher within ourselves, what we believe, what we want to believe, and what we're maybe opening up to a little bit. Some interesting conversations and dialogues there. We do have a full moon in your 3rd house, opening up again many conversations. In fact, Scorpio, it's likely around this time that particularly with a love interest, there could be a very exciting conversation going on for you. There could be an exciting conversation going on with a sibling. There could be an exciting conversation going on with a child. There could be great news surrounding your artistic life. There could be great news surrounding your romantic life. Very important conversation coming up when there's a full moon in your 3rd house. And this is something for you that is likely to be really quite exciting, because it's a sextile between this full moon and Jupiter. which is a lovely thing. And then we have Venus entering Leo. As I said before, this brings a real boost of energy as we go into July, into your career zone, where you feel very, very much like you could get what you want from people after they've probably annoyed you relentlessly for most of June. Sometimes in June things can seem a bit intense in the workplace with Mars being there in Leo, especially when it squares off with Saturn, or Saturn squaring off with Uranus, or where Mars squares off with Uranus. You can just feel a little bit like career is taking over. But as I say, you can also step into a voice of authority at this time. Just don't go all mad king on us, because that can happen when Mars goes into Leo. It can get a bit Game of Thrones around the workplace. Everyone wants to sit on the Iron Throne, but in this case it's a swivelly chair. So we have the Two of Swords. So you're kind of confused, or you're not seeing eye to eye with somebody in the workplace, that's for sure. There could be a head butting going on there, not literally, hopefully. But with the Eight of Wands, communication improves a lot in the last week of June in particular. So just be mindful of that. The conversations that you need, that you're pushing for in the first half, I guess, but also the middle part, right up until the last week of June, the conversations you're pushing for don't feel as easy to get. But communication is going to change for the better soon, Scorpio, so just bear that in mind. Don't have, leave the conversations to come up organically around the full moon in Capricorn, I would suggest. So let's get into your cards, Scorpio, and see what's coming up for you in the middle of June 2021. There's that Two of Swords again, Nine of Cups. Okay, the Hanging Man, the Eight of Swords, and the Ace of Wands. Love it. And the Eight of Wands underneath. I love it when the cards that pop out decide to come up in your actual spread. I always find that it's very poignant, very particular in meaning as well. Okay, so good news. There is good news, Scorpio. Good news is good news, right? There's going to be something that you've been very patient for starts to make sense. Okay, the Hanged Man in the positive position. So what that means, Scorpio, is that you're changing the way that you look at things, and as a result, the way that you're looking at things is changing. Now, this could have been something you could have done a while ago, but with Mercury retrograde in your 8th house, you were more focused on working through things below the surface with you. I think you appreciated that deep down there was a lot of stuff going on with you that felt really very personal and wasn't necessarily to do with anybody else. When we have 8th house energy, sometimes it can be trust issues, or sometimes it can be faith issues or money issues, things that we have to look at that we cannot take out on somebody else effectively. With the Hanged Man there, it means that you're changing the way you're responding. It's changing the way that you're looking at something. And it also means that delays are lifted. So one of the things that I'm seeing for you, Scorpio, with the Eight of Swords in the challenge position is that you felt a bit stuck. Join the eclipse season, Mercury retrograde in its home sign, squaring Neptune in its home sign club. A lot of people have felt very insecure. They felt very confused. They felt very lost. They've just felt a bit more groggy. I guess at a lower level, maybe some of you haven't felt necessarily trapped in your mind and your situation, but you could certainly have felt very confused about certain things, or just a little bit like you're not in flow, I guess. Especially not with the Two of Swords here. You've not been in flow at all. And with the Nine of Cups in the middle, you've had a wish, you know what you want, but maybe things just weren't turning out that way for you. You knew what you wanted, you have something in your life to be grateful for, but it's almost like you weren't connecting. The Eight of Wands underneath, the communication is improving and messages are starting to come in. Especially with that full moon in Capricorn, there's a lot of messages coming in. In fact, for a lot of you, you could be receiving a lot of emails, a lot of text messages, a lot of check-ins, a lot of meetings. People could really be wanting your attention. People could really be wanting your advice. People could really want to talk to you. And with the Eight of Wands, it's very likely, Scorpio, that you're beginning something. And around this eclipse, it could be that in your life, you're just injecting that little bit more spice. You're finding things that excite you. You're connecting with them on an emotional level. And you can find, Scorpio, sometimes that if you are going through an 8th house season, and it's like clearing away a lot of psychological debris, You're getting rid of it. And this for you can sometimes result in finding that certain things have been keeping you disconnected, keeping you clogged. It's kind of like when, I know this is a strange example, but you know, if you have something really shiny, something metallic that's very shiny, and then it can get worn out looking with lime scale or something, and it loses its shine. And then you give it a good clean and all of a sudden it's shining again. That can be an 8th house type of energy. It can be when you really have these psychological breakthroughs and you see, you know, I'm not connecting to the things that I love or the people that I love because I felt a little bit dulled down by the things that I've been eating, the things that I've been watching, the things that I've been thinking even. And then all of a sudden there's this clearance, there's this washing away of the stuff that's made you feel kind of murky. And that's what I'm saying here with the 8 of Wands and the Ace of Wands. You're getting an injection of life. You're getting an injection of passion. Your intimate relationships are on fire with the new solar eclipse in Gemini. If you're looking for somebody new, the Ace of Wands can indicate someone coming into your life where there's a very strong physical attraction. The 8 of Wands in its essence also rules letters, messages, and that really ties into the full moon in Capricorn, I have to say. But there's a lot of passion that has a lot of excitement to it, Scorpio. A lot of excitement to it. And with that Hanged Man, I just get this impression that you're more willing to engage with life in Cancer season. In Gemini season, you were for sure ready to engage with life emotionally. You were pretty okay with going into the depths. But now you would like to have a bit more fun, is what I'm saying here for you. And, you know, just that can just be something as simple as enjoying life. Being in the moment. It doesn't have to be necessarily taking up something that's not good for you, right? So Ace of Wands, then there was the King of Swords and the 3 of Cups. So a lot of you could be celebrating a relationship with somebody. You could be, for some of you, you could actually be expecting, I want to say if you're Scorpio moon, you could be expecting, maybe Scorpio rising, could be Scorpio sun as well, but I'm feeling for a lot of you with that Ace of Wands, 3 of Cups, especially if you're dating or you're in an established relationship with somebody who is quite stable. King of Swords is typically someone who's very rational, someone who's logical, someone who is very detail oriented, but also they're not necessarily the type that's going to be watching one of these videos. Do you know what I mean? They're not the type of person that's going to be affected by the ideas of the universe and consciousness and that type of thing. But it could be. Sometimes the King of Swords can surprise you. He does love a good theory. So a lot of you could be dealing with an air sign, an Aquarius, a Libra, a Gemini. For some of you, what I want to say is this can represent a boss or an employer, right? Because sometimes the Ace of Wands can be an offer, coming in with that King of Swords, and then the 3 of Cups, a new team. It can be networking. It can be brand deals, client deals. It can be connections. It doesn't have to be romantic, is what I'm trying to say. But for a lot of you that are in a relationship, there seems to be something to celebrate, and that can be because your partner has something to celebrate. It can be because you have something to celebrate with your partner. But I think for a lot of you, there could be, you know, giving birth to something that's quite exciting in your life. That could be to do with an air sign or someone who's really very rational. So that's what I'm getting for you, Scorpio. Those are beautiful cards, I have to say. I love the fact that the Hanged Man's in the positive position, because I do think that fixed sign energy, you know, I'm also speaking from experience. I have a fixed sun and moon. Fixed sign people can notoriously get stuck in ruts, but they can disrupt their own flow. And when it feels like you're stuck because of circumstances, you feel more and more stuck. It's only when you're a fixed sign and you suddenly shift your perspective, it is actually quite alarming how quickly things change. You know, because fixed signs usually get stuck mentally before they get stuck anywhere else, you know, because they're more methodical. They don't typically put themselves in situations that get stuck. So it usually is a state of mind. Let's do an oracle card before we hop into the extended. Scorpio. Let's get into your cards. So Scorpio. Ooh, door to value. Love it. That's very, very important, actually, because of the eclipse axis being in your sectors of value. So for a lot of you, money is improving. This could be a new career opportunity, a new project. It can be a new lease of life in your career. That could be what you're celebrating. You could be making more money. You could be getting more money. You could be saving money. With that 8th house, you could be getting a loan. You could be getting a grant. We also have the World. So for a lot of you, you're wrapping up a particular cycle. This could be wrapping up a particular project in work where you become more recognized, more respected because of your input. It could be that some of you are saving for a holiday. It could be that some of you are saving for a travel or university opportunity. It could be that some of you are getting grants, loans, because the 8th house, the new moon, the solar eclipse in Gemini is happening in your sector of other people's money. So this can be where someone helps you out financially. But it's looking pretty good, Scorpio. We're going to get into the extended and it will be linked below. Let me know what you think. And I will talk to you soon. If you want to know what the extended is, by the way, I get into the air signs, the fire signs, the water signs, the earth signs, and just clarify the whole thing and pull in the astrology a little bit deeper. So if you have time for that, it's linked below. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.